Welcome to another episode of More Than a Barber. I am your host, AP, and check this out, man. You already know that this is a podcast for inspiring barbers and beginner barbers. We give you the dopest content and we bring the best guests. And today we got a super incredible guest. This is my dog. I've known him for a while, but I wanted to get him on the show. Been waiting on this conversation. You may have even seen some of the lives we've done on Instagram, but we in the building. My boy Suge the Barber. What's up, man?
What up, though?
How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm great, man.
That's what's up,
Great.
man. How was the trip here, man?
Trip was good, man.
That's what's up.
I almost thought I was gonna miss my flight, but we got here.
Let's go.
What's up?
Let's go. So, man, you already know, man, I am just so grateful, bro, have you in the studio. We've been trying to get this conversation, as I stated, to just really have a dialogue. You are one of those type of guests that is very knowledgeable of the industry, very knowledgeable of the barber, from clippers to barbershops to, instructing, because you are a barber instructor, but you also have, your shop as well.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about it, man.
What's that?
So where do you see the barber industry going and in that particular way?
I see the barber industry as a ever evolving organism. It started as one thing and it keeps evolving into another and another and another. I personally like where the industry is going, despite, I guess people in my age group and my tenure of time that have been cutting, we're not supposed to say we like it.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
I do. I think it's pretty dope. Some people just get stuck on, stupid and they stay there. And
Yeah.
that's for you, not me.
I got you. So why do you think, with the direction of the barber industry, where it's going, why do you think some barbers have a problem with the direction that the barber industry is going in?
I would like to think that some people are just a little allergic to change. They're a little allergic to what they fell in love with evolving into something different for somebody else. It's like we all got the same girlfriend. It's the clippers in them heads we cut. We all dating the same person. And we all need something different from that person.
That's an interesting perspective.
Right?
Yeah.
And some people is like, don't change my girl. It was like, I'm not trying to change your girl. I'm trying to change mine. I need her to be suited to me, right? And everybody just wants control. You found success this way, and that is the way. And I'm like, it's more than one way to skin that cat. So to sum up the answer to the question, is like, I think some people just don't like to see what they fell in love with change into something different for somebody else.
Let's go. And oftentimes with the change, especially in the barber industry, we went from, booming barbershops. Now you got suites. Not to say that barbershops are played, but you got, posters on the wall. Now you got cats showing you their Instagram. Like, hey, I want this haircut. So it has evolved. Yeah. But I think, to your point, a lot of barbers, they are stuck in a mode. And I've been saying this lately, they're playing the wrong game. They're playing the wrong game. So what does it look like where you are as far as the culture of cutting out there in Detroit? Like, what's the haircut price points? Like, all of that stuff. Let's walk through that.
So it's much of the same of everywhere else, so to speak. Of course, you still have your shops, but then you got a lot more people in suites. Okay. Suites are popping up. And I get to that a little bit later, but suites are popping up everywhere. Everybody's trying to go to a private suite somewhere. And there are some shops that are thriving, right? They're doing very well because they know who they're marketing to. And they stick to their audience, right? And you got the other shops, there's people opening shops right now, and it just was like, you just opened the shop to be able to say that you opened the shop. And I get it. Sometimes you get so in a rush to go ahead and do it, and you feel like I've been supposed to did that. I understand it, but then you still gotta do the survey and say, is it really time right now? Is it time for me to dream, or is it time for me to execute? Because what's the point of opening the shop and you can't get nobody to cut in there? It's a lot of people in Detroit, in the Metro Detroit area, opening shops, and they reaching to find barbers. That is the reason why I did not open a shop.
Wow.
That was my dream. I wanted to be a shop owner.
Do you think it's harder to find barbers nowadays than it was, let's say, 5 years ago?
Yes.
And then tell me why do you think that is?
I think it's much harder, regardless of age of the barber and number. New barbers are running to the suites. And it's a myriad of reasons why. I'm not just gonna start and say, well, they just one reason. It's a bunch of different reasons why they're running to the suites, but they run into the suites nonetheless. And the younger people in age are introverted. So being in the open area, talking to people, is foreign to them. Yeah. It's not really what they talk like this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And I remember being when I was instructed at the barber school, having to tell students, hey, can you take your headphones off while you're taking the test? And they were looking at me like genuinely surprised, like, you really asking me to take my headphones off? I'm like, what did you do in school today? Ain't no way they allowed you to take the test. Can you get off the phone talking to the person you talking to while I'm teaching you? Yeah. Right? Yeah. So talking to people is weird. They like to cut with the headphones on, and they stay like that. So building that relationship is hard for them. Mm-hmm. So they don't want to go to the shop. But it doesn't make sense to go to the suite if that's your Achilles heel. Because you just got this one person. You have to be able to talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Not just talk, you got to be able to build a relationship now. That's right. And they're just starting to ask the right questions about moving into a suite.
What do you mean by that? Walk me through that.
At first, it would just be like, you know what, I want it to look like this. I want to say I got a suite or whatever. I don't like people. I'm going to go to the suite. And they wouldn't ask the question. They just would look and say, well, I think I could pay for it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to the suite. Now I have more and more people who they're getting out of barber school. They've been cutting for a little while, but they ready to leave the shop. They don't know if it's time. And they're asking, like, when is it really time? Like, what questions should I be asking myself to stipulate whether or not I can handle being in a suite or not?
Right.
And some of them are listening. They're like, all right, I'm glad I asked you because I was getting ready to make a move. And a lot of them are making that move out of frustration. They're frustrated because the shop that they're in, they got some type of turmoil with the owner. They got some type of turmoil with their colleagues. And they're like, I got to get out of here. But getting out of there is one thing. Getting out of there and still being able to thrive is another.
Come on. Do you think that social media is affecting the way these guys move when it comes to what you just said? I got to get out of here. I got to get my own suite.
Big time. Social media made the rat race a lot faster because you're looking at everybody, right? You're looking at the people on your level, below you, and the people at the top at the same time. Yeah. So it's kind of like, where do I go? In that brainstorm, so to speak. And of course, you're gonna go where the end of your vision is. Which is that person that you see that's in the private suite. They doing SMP, they doing man weaves, they selling product, they doing all. That's where you want to go. But it's like, okay, yeah, you can't just go there. You got to get there. I heard a woman. She's actually a financial guru, and I forgot her name. I like to cite my sources.
That's cool.
A black woman, very rich. I never forget. I was listening to her on a podcast one time. She said, "Listen, you can't take the elevator on the road to success. You got to take the stairs."
That's right.
Don't skip steps.
That's right.
And it's painstaking to not skip steps because you can skip steps. Yeah. The only problem is that step had a skill that came with it that you skipped. Mm-hmm. You'll get to the top, but you're going to be missing some skills. And somebody going to be able to peep. You ain't supposed to be here.
They going to peep. And I'm smiling because we just had a live on Instagram talking about this very same thing. So shout out to Mo Blends out of Vegas, female barber, super dope. We had this same conversation. I asked her, I said, do you think that the younger barbers are skipping steps? And she said, yes, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
And I expounded on that. I said, the danger in skipping steps is there is some processes that you absolutely have to gain. It's kind of like you miss experiences taking the elevator because you can't see much. Mm-hmm. But if I take the stairs, you might be able to look out the window. you might be able to see more. You understand what I'm saying?
You can actually savor the journey.
Yeah, bro.
Like, maybe I need to stay on this. I actually like it here right now. Like, I think it's healthy to be able to get to a point where you're uncomfortable on the step that you're on. Because now you know it's time to move. You're not just moving for the sake of moving forward.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you got a goal. You take something as simple as graduating from high school. Every grade got a certain amount of things that you're supposed to learn to be able to move on to the next goal in order to be able to graduate. So when you get there, if it's done right, you have everything you need. And sometimes it's cool to just stay right here for a minute. But once you feel that itch and it's getting comfortable, or why is it uncomfortable? You answer that question correctly, then you know it's time. It's time, you know.
I got you. As an instructor, what do you see is one of the most challenging things for the student barbers who are trying to get their hours, get their license, and, you know, go to the next level? What's one of the things that you...
So let me make one correct. So I'm not instructing in school anymore.
Okay.
Right. I don't want to disrespect
all good
the
all
craft.
Good.
I'm not. I had to step away for a minute,
all good.
But I'm still an instructor at heart because we live in a day and age where all instructors are not in school anymore. Absolutely. But the biggest thing is patience.
Okay.
The biggest thing is patience. I've seen the people come in day one, bunny rabbit ears, they ready. Man, I'm ready to learn, you know. They call me Mr. J at the school.
Gotcha.
Oh, Mr. J, man, I want to learn, man, just everything, man. I saw your page and I saw this person and this barber and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, let's see in about 3 months. We're going to see how you feel. And you know how it go. You're going, you gun-ho because you're ready to learn. And then you get in and you're going through the same thing every day. And now you tired because you feel like you ain't learning nothing.
Right.
That's, man, I'm not learning nothing. I'm not doing enough cuts. Or, hey, we in class and I want to cut. Because I'm not even going to say nobody told them. They don't listen to you. Because at the school that I was at, Hair Lab Detroit Barber School, you go, the process to get in, you got to come up to the school three, 4 times. And you go on your tour. You come back again, you talk financial aid, you go on another tour, you talking to people. Everybody's telling you, especially in administration, hey, it's 1,800 hours in the state of Michigan. Wow. You got to spend X amount of hours in the classroom, and you're going to be doing, they know. But for some reason, it's like that excitement, it go in one ear and out the other.
So it's 1,800.
1,800. We're trying to get that lower.
I think it's 1,500 here in Texas.
It's lower now. It was 1,500 when because, you know, well, maybe we'll get to the origin story a little later. I ain't go
no, you good. Do that.
Good. But it was 1,500 when I started in Texas.
Now?
I think it's like 1,100 to 1,200 in Texas now.
And do you know, bro, I just learned this too, that you don't have to have an instructor license now to open a barber college. That's what I learned. I got the email from TDLR. You have to have a barber license.
Yeah.
But not an instructor's license.
But the instructors have to have an instructor's license.
I think they changed it, bro. They might try to check me in the comments, but I think they changed it.
That's another conversation.
And it's a whole nother conversation because they're lowering the standard, if you ask me. But I feel like, do you think that they have to? Like, why do you think they're lowering the standard from a TDLR standpoint?
Well, I think it's very strategic, nationwide, not just TDLR.
Okay.
There's a term, it's called deregulation, right? It goes and comes in conversation in the barbering industry, but it's constant, right? I think they started on the West Coast, like in Arizona or something like that. What deregulation is somebody in the Senate or, you know, state Congress they want it to be so you don't have to be licensed to be in the hair, skin, and nail arts.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
And Georgia I think they did pass it in Arizona. Some states, I know like Alabama, it may be Arizona. I forgot what states it was. I have to go do my research. But there are states now where you don't actually have to have a license to cut anymore. Right?
Whoa.
And that's what deregulating does. And what when it like last year or maybe a year before Georgia came up. Barbers didn't show up to vote. It passed. Right? Now, I still had to pass like Senate or something like that, and I don't know whether or not it actually passed Senate. And everybody think, well, they disrespecting our industry. They don't believe in us. It has nothing to do with the craft of barbering.
At all.
What deregulation has to do with when that senator is looking at the books, what they're seeing is we got these people going to cosmetology school, going to barber school, going to nail tech school, and they're getting financial aid. They're getting the license, and then they never report taxes, or they never pay back the loan that they got. How do we free up this money? How do we lower the budget or whatever, or find money in the state? They're not saying we're going to close schools. They're saying we want to make it so, because if they deregulate, then financial aid is gone, right? They're trying to put the money back in the state.
So is it profitable to open a school, you think?
When you said it, the first thing I said was no.
And I'm going to tell you why. I had two people ask me, like, bro, why you don't open the school, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm personally good. I know I can do it. I know we can get the funding for it, all of that, but I'm cool.
The thing is that the people who don't have licenses right now don't respect school structure. I can't pinpoint exactly why, but if they do go to school, sometimes it's like pulling teeth, getting them to learn what they said they wanted to learn, right? They come into the school, especially if you got that guy or girl who's been cutting 10, 15 years, and they just, the only thing I don't have is my license. I know everything. And what I used to say when I would get that first day of class, I say, look, I need y'all to do me a favor. How long you been cutting? You've been cutting. Oh, you've been cutting? You first day? I would tell them immediately, I know off rip, the best barbers in here are the people who don't know how to cut right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. And the people who've been cutting, y'all are probably going to be either my biggest triumph or one of my worst tragedies. Why you say that, Mr. J? Because this is all going to depend on whether or not you're going to do this for me. What I'm going to ask you to do is forget everything you know. I need you to act like you don't know nothing. And they have a hard time doing that because it's hard to not prove that you know something. That's what they want to do. They want to prove that they know something, especially to the instructor. Because people don't like cold cuts, been talking about it for a while. The barber instructor is not respected. Because your uncle was telling me, the instructors are the people who can't really cut for real, so they become instructors. That's what people say. Do I think it's true? I can say without a doubt, in my case, it ain't.
Yeah,
I cut circles around
so.
a lot of you people.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But that's what they say. But for me, it's like, regardless of whether or not that instructor is a great barber or not, you got to go through him or her to get your license.
That's so good.
So just sit there and learn what you got to learn. Do your hours and get on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, barber college was hard for me, man.
Okay.
It was hard for me. And to a degree, I understand, but I don't understand. The part that I don't understand is they don't have a lot of young barbers don't have a growth mindset when it comes to understanding the industry at large. They want to be good haircutters. They want to be really good haircutters. I always allude to that because that's the focus.
Yeah.
Which goes back to my statement, playing the wrong game, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Secondly, I understand, because what I do understand is that, yes, I knew how to cut coming into barber college, but I didn't know theory.
Right.
I didn't know how to do the shave, the 12 strokes, 11 strokes of shave. I didn't know how to, there was just certain things behind the scenes that you just have to know that's going to help you become, I won't even say an elite barber, but a professional barber.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that word, because that, man, I go back and forth on what I feel about professionalism in the barbering industry specifically is. Because I think for each person, professionalism is different. For each barbershop, for each private suite owner, what a professional is different. It's not a monolithic thing where it's just one thing that this is professionalism. Because at one point in time, when I was coming up, when you was coming up, you were considered professional if you were the barber that, you wore a bow tie, you dressed a certain way. Yeah. When you cut, that meant you were professional. And I'm like, not so much in this day and age. That you looked professional, but it was people who was cutting like that. I was a barber who, before I got my license, I was cutting in a suit, and I looked. Nobody was going to question whether or not I had my license because I looked the part. I acted the part. I had the skills, but I did not have that paper. The state did not recognize me. Wow. Right. Wow. Now, I didn't do it like that on purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like in that conversation of license or not, let's open it up and say it's reasons why some people haven't got their license yet.
What do you think some of the reasons are?
Some people simply ain't got the money. These barber schools is charging $22,000 for barber school. And if you can't get financial aid or you don't want to take out a loan, how you gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
So, you know.
So you think that's why they're doing the sweet life? Because it's less, it's less. I know we got at my old shop in Denton, we got the state board called on us. And I can honestly say I did have one barber in there that did not have a license.
Okay.
And it's very hard to build a team and to get guys in there because you have such a high demand. So you like, man, I got to get a barber here because you know, it ain't you paying a booth rent or just money. It's demand.
Trying to get these people up
You
out here so we can go home. Yeah.
You know, you got a college town.
Right.
You already know.
Yeah,
college town,
I've seen
so many walk-ins. So it's like, man, I need a barber. But a lot of the guys were unlicensed.
Yeesh.
They was unlicensed. And so I understand the struggle there. I do, especially from a shop owner's perspective. Mm-hmm. But I think the game has changed so much to the point to where barbers are like, man, I'll get a suite. And I don't have to really State board ain't coming to no suite. They not coming to
maybe here.
At least
maybe
here.
in Texas. In Michigan?
I hadn't seen it.
State board coming to them suites.
They are.
Because they found this the thing. This is what social media did.
Wow.
You own the suite, you own the app.
Yeah.
Bumping your gums.
Yeah.
Man, I'm making this much. I got a private suite. I ain't even got no license. You think State Board ain't on Instagram?
Yeah.
You feel me? Yeah. Like they did a suite a couple years ago in Michigan, and the way the people that they got them because he was on social media. I got, and I had a license some years back, and I was in a private suite. I got because the suite owner did not have a shop license for his suites, and I didn't check to see if he did. Somebody called State Board on him, and when State Board finally came, I was the only one there that day. And I was told by somebody who shall remain nameless that was in the offices, they came after you because you look like an owner. Wow. And they didn't, even though I told them, because to be honest, when State Board came in, I was happy to see him. Because I got my L's.
Yeah.
I was like, here. And I kept cutting. Like, there you go. Kept cutting. Like, hey, ain't nothing. Yeah. They're like, yeah, but where's your shop license? I was like, I'm not the owner. I just pay for this room. And that's it. Oh, well, you still got to have a shop license. I was like, no, not according to the law book. I don't have to have a shop license for the suite unless I have one. It's either like one, or if you got one other or maybe two other people in that suite, that's going to be considered a shop, and you have to have that standalone suite licensed in the state of Michigan or whatever. And what I'm telling y'all is read your law book. Read that law book. Don't assume because somebody told you, you ain't got to have this. No, read it for yourself so you know what's going on. And long story short, I told dude, hey man, somebody called State Board on you. And, they came up here and I was like, look, all you got to do is get a shop license. You do not, no state requires that you have a barber license to own a barber shop. Because he didn't have his license at the time. We went to barber school together. He just wasn't finished yet.
See, so he was a barber, but the building that he had in your area in Michigan, you have to have a shop license and the actual barbershop license, barber license.
And no, just a shop license. Trust me, there's a license for these suites, right? So the owner pays for one license for all of these suites.
Got it.
Now, if you want to, you can actually, even in the state of Texas, you can go and get a standalone license for your suite if you want to. Yeah. You don't have to because the owner has you covered. My owner didn't have me covered. And because of that, and because I'm from the hood, I'm from the east side of Detroit, what up, though, 48214 all day, that no snitching thing came up in me. Yeah. And I ain't want to say no names, but I'm telling them I'm not the owner. I'm telling him, hey, all you got to do is pay the $70 to get the license. Well, what did they come here to do? Just clean everything up and set it up like I'll set this up for my potential barbers. They're going to come in, look at it. I know how I go because I read the thing. I'm like, the inspector, they don't pop up when you're getting your shop license. They schedule. So you going to know when they coming, bro. All right, he didn't do it. I end up leaving, but they kept pursuing me. Long story short, I got fined $3,000. That $3,000 was the money that I was going to spend to come back to Texas to learn SMP. Wow. And I ended up having to pay that fine. I wasn't going to pay it because I was like, I did all of this. You know what I went through. Yeah. The years that it took me to get my barber's license. Not because I'm stupid, but just life was life. Yeah, for sure. And I got that dang on license and got fined after I got the license. I was finna say, man, after this license, take it. Yeah. But I was like, I didn't do all of that to not keep my license that I worked so hard for.
Man, that's something, because while you were talking, I just was thinking about the most challenging season for a barber is in barber college. And I know what you went through. Yeah. But it's like going from getting your license, getting into an area where you can really just evolve. Mm-hmm. The challenging thing for most barbers is barber school, because they quit. They go through they go through a lot. Mm-hmm. I know from my experience, man, people lost family members. Yeah. I lost my sister. Oh, wow. Right at the brink of graduating. Ooh, like,
that's tough.
It's a lot. So mm-hmm. I feel you when you mm-hmm. go through barber school and then you get fined. Like, it's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. Very but much. The reality of it is, this is where you're built for it tough. This shows you what you made of.
Shows you. You're right. That experience for me was make or break, and that's when I learned every entrepreneur, no matter what industry you're in, you don't know if you're built for said industry until you take a loss that's not your fault, and you keep going. Either you're gonna quit, because that it wasn't even the amount of money; it just was the whole psychological battle of what I went through. Yeah, it was like either I'm gonna quit or I'm gonna take this L and keep it moving. Yeah. We all have an L, especially in entrepreneurship. We all got an L that we gonna take that's not our fault, and that's gonna tell you whether or not you built for this thing or not.
So the $3,000 happened. You already had plans to do the whole SMP play. Like, mentally, what was that like, bro?
It was horrible, bro. Yeah. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I was sick. And the barber school I ended up working at, he knew about it. He's tied in. Shout out to Roger Samuels, him and his wife. They're in the thick of it when it comes to state board and going to the meetings and stuff like that. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna take the opportunity to say, in most states, barbers don't know what's going on because the barbers don't show up at the state board meetings. And I don't care what state you're in. When your state board meets, you're invited to the meeting, right? If you have your license, you can go. If you got a grievance, you got a problem, that's where you go and say, hey, what's up with this? But when y'all don't show up to the meetings to speak, your voice is no different than city council meetings. Yeah. If you don't show up to say nothing, then you can't say nothing. But this where we complain. Yeah. It don't doing nothing there. Yeah. You feel me? Or whatever. So like, show up and say something. But he was telling me some things and what was going on. Like, I got bullied. Like, the reason I went to court and everything. Like, I literally went to court, defended myself, and I was naive in thinking, hey man, I got my license. I don't have a reason to lie. And I represented myself. I didn't get a lawyer. And that's administrative court. It's not criminal court. And if you're in a state like Michigan, it's hard to find an administrative lawyer because it's a criminal state, right? And I'm in there. I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying about nothing. And they like, these folk had went back all the way to 2015 on my Instagram. They pulling up stuff, and the judge was even looking like, why are you doing this again or whatever? But, it was crazy. The judge didn't fine me $3,000. The judge fined me $500.
So the 25 came from
state board upped it. Money grab. Gotcha. I'm gonna go ahead and say that because they can't do nothing to me no way. I hope you see it too. It was a money grab, man. It was a straight up money grab. Wow. They got me.
Yeah. So every state is different. Yeah. When it comes to, like you say, deregulation and the things that they are doing. Even in Michigan, here in Texas, California, where I'm from, it's totally different. But I haven't really heard a lot of stories lately about state board because so much has changed. But I do think that there is still a certain standard that needs to be, followed and met when it comes to, young barbers coming up, because this barber industry, bro, is booming. It's
is.
booming, but it's not gonna stop producing barbers. But again, it goes back to what you stated. Like, guys don't go to the state board meetings. Guys don't really read. So they're just, again, I just want to be a good hair cutter.
So what you're saying, that it almost makes me say, and I'm not saying this concretely, but I'm saying, like, I'm almost for deregulation or tweaking it, right? So we both know you don't go to barber school to learn how to cut hair.
Right.
If you learn how to cut hair at barber school, you got lucky.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you go to barber school for? Sanitation, chemical operations. You go to barber school to learn how not to pass disease along.
Right.
You go to barber school to learn how to actually clean your implements the right way. You learn, biology and stuff like. You learn those things, and it blows a lot. A lot of students, their mind is blown when they see the book, and it's just thinking like, this is a lot of hair. No, 8, 9 of them chapters is all science. You see what I'm saying? And it actually matters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why don't we tweak it in a way where, okay, at least have people go, and I don't care if it's a certificate or a license, have people go and they have to do this many hours so they learn that at least, so we can make sure a epidemic or a pandemic doesn't break out from a barbershop standpoint. Leave it up to them whether or not they're going to go and really learn how to cut hair, because everybody's teaching classes, some for free, some for a fee. Some people got YouTube University. And people get out of barber school, they be in barber school paying more attention to T-Pop or whatever the name is on YouTube than they do to the instructor sitting right there in their face.
Because instructor don't have, respectfully, the instructor is not most times as,
Poppin'.
you know what I mean? Like, they don't have like a certain level of clout.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't even have to be the best barber. I said that the other night. You don't. You don't have to be the best barber, but we're influencers, bro. That's really what a popular barber is a real live influencer. And so I hear what you're saying. They're not gonna most of those guys are not gonna pay attention because it's not eye candy. It's not.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? It's not like, oh man, this or that. Like, they're paying. I said this on another episode. They're paying essentially somebody else to show them how to do something that they are too lazy to learn themselves. You can go on Google and learn that yourself, or TikTok, but it's done for you. So they're gonna go and go to a course where the most popular barber is really popular.
And see, I got in my tenure at the school, I got lucky because I got a little motion, a little gumption, riz, whatever it is y'all young folk call it.
Yeah.
So they didn't know who I was, but they knew somebody when I said, hey, everybody called me Suge the Barber. They're like, oh, you the man we've got.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, so then they want to listen. And then when they go to the page and they see I'm posting receipts. It's one client, hour and a half, 700. One client, hour and 20 minutes, 2 hours, 350. Unfortunately, that's what grabs them. You know what I'm saying? And I say that hardcore. Unfortunately, that is what grabs them. You got to show them that you're making money, so to speak, in order for them to listen. And it's like, it's so many people that can give you so much value, and they may not be making the money, but they got that knowledge down packed. They actually have the skill of cutting hair itself down packed. They got real deal skills. They ain't got no followers, but they can cut. And they know how to talk to people. They know how to do business. Some of them quietly making a killing, not from cutting hair. They in the shop, but they making a killing because they're savvy enough to talk to their customers about the other businesses that they have. They use it as a stepping stool. And what I did like about when I was at the school, like the way we were tweaking things, we were teaching social media classes, talking about marketing. They allowed me the freedom when I was in class to say, okay, this is the lesson plan, but hey, Mr. JB, I hired you because I know who you are, how you give it up. So I'm in there talking to them about business for real, not just the business portion that they got in the book. I'm having my client that I told you, he don't pay for cuts. I don't pay for marketing strategy and whatnot. I would have him come in once a month, and I would just do a demo on him. While I'm cutting his hair, I'm not explaining anything about the haircut. Just listen to him talk. And he's telling them about branding strategies. He has a thing that he does. His name is Justin Dunn. It's called the 7-second brand something or whatever. He do these brain teasers. His whole thing is y'all are missing out on branding yourself in business. You, like Mighty Woodard already broke it down. You only got 3 seconds to get our attention.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is you got to say,
Absolutely.
You need to get it quick.
So do you think every barber should create a brand for
Yeah.
themselves?
Yes. Okay. Without a doubt.
Why do you think they should create a brand for themselves?
The brand is how people recognize you as a business. No, your brand is how people recognize you as a product. And if you do it the right way, you don't have to say anything to recognize yourself as a product. How do I know that? When I say basketball shoe, Nike popped up in your head. If it's a whole lot of things I could run off. If I say things unrelated to the brand, certain brands pop up first. Gotcha. The picture, the logo, the branding pops up first.
Chick-fil-A customer service. Got it.
Now, can we name something? I'm pretty sure they're not. I don't know if it's a they or he or T-Pop, so to speak. Yeah. T-Pop, I would say, has done it. T-Pop, what's the other guy?
360 Jeezy.
360 Jeezy has done it. It's out of Florida. They stuff is green too. They had the color. They did the charging mat.
Are you talking about Los Cut It? Is that him?
No, not Los.
Oh, he's in Chicago too.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But there are a select few barbers who have set a brand. And when you think of certain things, you think of them, whether the product is worthy or not. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, branding is important. It's how people gonna recognize you. And when they think of certain things in the hair industry, if you want to be the first one to pop up in their head, it has to be a brand that you create.
Yeah. So how do they brand themselves when it's a market that seems saturated? A market that seems like, man, there's so many barbers doing the same thing. How do you brand yourself in that particular way?
8 billion.
Say it again.
8 billion.
8 billion?
8 billion people online at a time. Got it. 8 billion. Yeah. Everybody ain't seeing whatever it is you're saying.
Yeah, but
it don't matter if you're saying the same thing as everybody else.
It is, in fact, to some, saturated. Some guys are like, man, how do I stand out? I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm. It is 8 billion, but it seems to some it's saturated.
It might be saturated. What I'm saying is, so hamburgers are saturated. Hoodies are saturated. Shoes are saturated. People are still going to choose to buy from wherever they buy from. Some people will choose to buy from both. There are plenty of people who have a Bentley and a Rolls Royce. Mm-hmm. I think it may be a black thing. We going to choose this one and we going to ride with that, and that's all we going to do. Mm-hmm. It's like gang wars for everything. And it's like, hey, we're not at war. We should be at peace, and everybody, it's enough of us. We have enough buying power for everybody to eat, and everybody can actually be supported, right? So, because when you get into that, it's saturated. Well, how do I show up different? You're trying to be different, and by proxy, you're gonna fail at being different. Just be you, and let the people pick you, right? My marketing guy, he was like, the worst thing you can do is try to make something that people will buy, right? You make something and let the people choose to buy it, or choose who you want to sell to. That's market research. Mm-hmm. If you're going to make a product, whether the product is, for me, my biggest product is me. This, what I'm doing right now, is how I get people. I didn't fall. You know my journey. I love the hair industry. I love cutting hair. I love doing hair because I don't consider myself just a barber, especially once I started doing man weave, color, and stuff like that. But what I fell in love with first was talking to people. I started cutting hair at the Salvation Army in Huntsville, Alabama, helping out my homegirl after church on Sundays. And long story short, I fell in love with the conversations first. And the barber chair just so happens to give me a constant stream of people to talk to. I use the barber chair to use my real gift, which is people. It's talking to people. Call it therapy, whatever it is. Yeah. So I just happen to be able to recognize what my niche was. And it just so happens that I'm fired with these hands with the clipper too. Because you got the main thing got to be the main thing. People they want the haircut to be good, at least good. You feel me, or whatever. But then it's like, man, ain't nobody asked me that before, bro. You know, man, I'm coming back to you, and then before you know it, by the second or third cut, they're not even worried about how the haircut gonna look. They want to talk. They ready for their session. You feel me?
And that's really what it is. It's a session. They are coming. Most men don't have a safe space, man, to come and just say, look, bro, this is what I'm going through. Bro, this is what I'm dealing with, without being judged. You feel me? So if you are a dope barber, meaning you got the customer service skills, you got the cut skills, you got the professionalism, and you have that conversation piece, that's golden right there. Man, that's how you become a book barber. I just gave you a play. Gave you a play.
Listen to
it. Like for real. You don't even gotta be the best barber. Just be decent, but have all the others.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And so one of my clients told me the other day, he said, man, I'm leaving work. I told my coworkers, man, I'm going to my therapy session. Talking about coming to get cut.
Straight up.
That's what you want. You want your client to be like, bro, I couldn't wait to get here. I had to chop it up with you, man. Like, this is what's going on, bro. Let me get your thoughts on, how do I do this with my son? Or how do I do this with my, at the job? Whatever it is, they're going to ask you certain things because they trust your voice. And a lot of barbers, sometimes, again, the focus is, I'm finna get this money. I'm finna give them a dope cut. But you missing out on the part that gives you a tip and a loyal, family for life, really. Have that conversation.
Yes, sir.
Whether you're in a suite or a barbershop.
Yeah. Master that conversation if you can. Mm-hmm. And I've run into students that was like, Mr. J, like, I don't like talking to people. What do I do? I was like, look, everybody doesn't need a deep conversation. Everybody don't need you to be able to peel back the layers of the onion. Mm-hmm. At least be able to say, if you don't like to talk, figure out how to listen. So if you can figure out how to listen, if you're the person that don't know that, I'm an introvert, I really don't like talking to people like that, cool. Figure out a set of questions that you can ask to get your customers talking. What if they don't talk? Then they don't want to talk. We all have had that person that you asking them open-ended questions and they give you closed-ended answers. They're telling you, I don't want to talk. Don't talk to them. Cut their hair.
Put a podcast on. Put a
make sure the music is right. Call it a day. Yeah. Would you like a drink, sir? Whatever. Woo woo. Yeah. And call it a day. Get them in and out of that chair. Maybe they talk for a living, and this is the only time they get to be silent. So whatever the reason is, give them the experience of what they want. It's a solution for all of it, or whatever. And then also some of the people, barber school wise, just be smart enough. Be smart enough to understand if this ain't your industry. Mm-hmm. Don't do 600, 700, 800 hours to realize this ain't it for me. Because that $600, $700, $800 is it's gonna cost you 20 racks. Because once you sign that contract, you only got about 2 or 3 weeks to pull out before it's not prorated, and you still got to pay it back. Sure. Read that contract before you sign it. If you're gonna go the school route. Apprenticeship is a thing in a lot of states. We just got apprenticeships, and they took it. Well, in Michigan, we just got apprenticeships. They didn't have apprenticeships here.
No apprenticeships in Texas, but where I'm from, Cali, the Bay, it's apprenticeships.
They do, and I'm cool with apprenticeships, but it's just like it's only a select few people who can really run an apprenticeship right. Yeah, because you get a lot of people do their apprenticeship so they can stay in the shop and make money. In most states, you're not even supposed to make money if you're doing an apprenticeship, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's. I wish they had an apprentice here in Texas, but I don't think I don't know if they regulated that part yet. Ooh,
but I think it would be dope if they tweaked it in a lot of different states to where what I was talking about. Hey, make sure we get the main thing of sanitation, chemical operations, get that little part, and maybe make that $200 or $300, right? And then somehow make it mandatory to go to a shop and sit under a barber for at least 6 months. Then you're released. Go do your thing.
That's a play, but I think you're going to take away from, just the whole TDLR play, because, that is cool, but their thing is, we just want you to have your license, so you go and do 15 or 1,200 hours, however many. I don't think there's no alternative. Maybe in the near future.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
they
I
don't
mean,
have it.
and that because there is no real barber union in the United States, every state is going to do something different.
Yep.
You know, and of course, I'm speaking from a pure Michigan perspective because that's where I am or whatever. I started in Texas. For y'all that don't know, when I start talking about me starting here, I started barber school at Master Barbers Institute out there in Oak Cliff or whatever. You know, shout out to Gene, man.
Yeah.
God rest his soul, man. I was so hurt when I missed his funeral, but I started here. And I had to go home and finish or whatever. But yeah, like, I mean, it's a lot of different ways to skin that cat if they're going to change something. Far as the government. Yeah. It's going to be hard to fight if we don't show up.
For sure. So in Michigan, man, like, how much are the haircuts out there?
Of course, prices vary. I would say at this point, average, you probably at 45. Okay. You still got your 20, 25ers, but average is probably about $45 $45 gotcha. Is going to be your average.
And they're doing like the facials and all that stuff out there?
No. Not at that price. Okay. No, I hope you ain't doing all that for that price. But you in a regular shop and you waiting. You know, walk in. It's some people they doing appointments for that price, and I'm like, man, more power to you. $40? Yeah. Okay. Well, they're trying to, because my thing is, most people, if you're doing an appointment in this day and age at $40, you're not on time. You probably ain't even got to the point where you're efficient to run by appointment. That's another conversation. Yeah. Or whatever. But that's probably the median price is probably, I'm gonna say, the 40 ball. Yeah. Okay.
What do you think some of the clients who are watching the price kind of jump within the barber industry? Do you have any like pushback from some of the clients, or are you hearing any pushback?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Definitely pushback. Of course, the pushback is the same as it's always been. Man, it ain't even worth that much. Or I'll go to such and such and get a haircut for this price. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not arguing with you. Yeah. Go there and get that price if that's what you want to do. Yeah. Don't sit up and try to. You ain't told nobody, no other product that you buying. You ain't going to the grocery store. You ain't going to Gucci, Louis, Fendi product, Nike, nowhere else is saying I can get a shoe for this much from. So you ain't doing that to nobody else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I think the heart of what the customer is saying is, if I'm gonna pay you $60 and up, I need it to be worth it. And I will go on record saying there's not a regular haircut worth more than $50. Whoa. Regular. I mean, you just getting a cut and you leaving. No beard. Beard. All right, let's get the beard in there. You get your beard fade because everybody got a beard. You get your cut. You ain't getting no hot towel, no facial, no enhancements. For those weird barbers that still don't want to use a razor, you ain't getting no razor. You just getting the cut, and that's it. I don't think there's a cut worth more than $50 if that's all you doing. And I'm saying purely that this barber can't talk to you. There's no experience behind it, right? So for me, I'm at 75 and up. You can look at the latest video on my page, and I give a minute and a half or more, a little bit of video of that whole experience for that customer. That customer came in, what he paid was $120. He comes in, he sits in my full body massage chair for 15 minutes first. Then he sit down in my chair. I do the facial first. He sit down, do the cleanser, hot towel, do the whole facial, joint facial massage, get up, do the beard, shape the beard, cut the head. All of that. He gets a drink. He like mimosas. I give him a mimosa. You see all that in the video. He pays that money happily every time he comes in. He's not paying for the haircut. He's paying for the experience. Mm-hmm. I'm giving him more than what I'm giving him. Peace. I'm giving him a dang near spa experience in my little private suite, right? Now, where it gets murky at is if you get to a point where you start to provide way more than what you're being paid, even if you're charging them $100, because it's like, man, you could get way more for that in a different place. Mm-hmm. That's where I feel like the location conversation comes into play. If I'm in Atlanta, that's easily $250, and they throwing it at me if I go there, absolutely, so to speak, or whatever. Absolutely.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is I had a client who he wrote a review. And he had a problem with my prices. And then I started reading a few comments on a few posts that I made that went crazy on Instagram.
Mm.
Clients are having, some, not all, are having a hard time with this evolution of barbering. Like, if you are charging 20 to, let's say, $30, I'm not saying you're a bad barber,
Mm-mm.
but that's cutting beneath your privilege. You know what I mean? You just stated, and I think that could be argued. A $50 haircut is just if that's all you're doing. But I feel like barbers rather, in this industry, we are just now getting paid what we're worth. Some barbers are abusing it because they're not worth what they're charging. Let's just keep it a buck,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Big time.
But the barbers that are actually skilled at the whole overall scope, we just not, and I mean, what I mean by that is professionalism. What we just said.
Yeah.
Knowing how to treat the client.
Mm-hmm.
We're just now getting paid what we were.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally. We're still not charging enough, if you ask me. Because, man, I don't know why it happened like this in the barbering industry. I remember paying $20 for a haircut in 1998 and feeling like, dang, you charging $20 in 98. We talking about over 20 some odd years ago, and we're just now getting median to $40, $50. You have barbers that charge more than that. But that's the median. That's what the math is going. That math is going to say, well, where's the middle? Where's the average? Right. That's where the average is. So we only went up $20, $25 in 30 years. That's deflation. That ain't even inflation at this point or whatever. But whose fault is that? Us. We stopped. We weren't brave enough to ask and say, well, this is what my price is. And then we got in that, I think the barbering industry for a little while got into a mud hole of all of the shops was the same. It became a throwaway industry for a little while. If you wanted to smoke some weed and not, get caught up or whatever, you became a barber. If you that was the side hustle or whatever. And the reason why I thank social media, because I came in the industry at a sweet spot. I am 42 years old, so I'm old enough to know what life is without the internet, without social media. And I literally was involved in social media becoming the boom that it is now. So I have people skills and I have social media skills naturally. Social media made it so, hey, we all can see what everybody is doing. And I'm talking about the barbers. I can see what the barbers is putting down in Texas. I can see what the barbers putting down in Florida, Michigan, Cali. I can see what they doing, and I can compare and contrast. I used to look at the barbers that I looked up to. I would look at their work, and if I used to travel a lot, right? I got out here and got it in and experienced the industry, and I thank God for that. But what I would do is if I looked up to that barber and I was in a city, I would book a cut with him. The reason why I would book a cut with them, I'd let them do my beard, do my shave, and I would look at what I charge for it, and I would look at what they did to me, and I would be like, do I do this? If I do this, then I need to be charging somewhere near or what they're charging. That was my thermostat of how I would figure out if I was charging enough for myself.
That's smart. So I saw the other day, shout out to the Barber Plug. He said the average haircut is $65. The average haircut. And I'm saying that worldwide.
Okay.
$65. And I'm even on record to say, but I would say within the next 3 to 5 years, haircut's gonna be $1. It's gonna be $100.
Go ahead.
I mean, I hate that because I know some guys are already charging that. And some clients don't really want to hear that.
Right.
But
it's
that's
weird.
Just what it is.
And what we have to do is figure out a way to make our industry more valuable to clients. But what that's going to take is because I'm so glad you're having this conversation, because I want to do something in Michigan. I want to have kind of like a coffee and conversations type deal. And the first conversation I want to have is a conversation between barbers and clients, or hair industry practitioners and clients, because we arguing online. We're not talking to each other in person for real. Mm-hmm. The person that has a problem with your price didn't tell you to your face they had a problem with your price. They put it on the review. When you were sitting right there, they were sitting right there with you. They could have said, man, it's a little high, bro. They didn't even give you the option to explain.
To top it off, I cut this particular client 3 times.
And then they did a review.
Yeah, and I put them on my page.
Wow. Wild. I'm taking you off my page right now.
Man, but the thing about it is, you never know what people are going through. So I just kind of like say, oh, you can have that, because I got several reviews. That is the only 3
That's the only one. That's
crazy.
The
only. Matter of fact, I just got one yesterday.
Even in the grand scheme of, you never know what a person is going through. I just had a client who, he left. He was like, it wasn't no bad blood or anything. He was like, hey, man, I'm going to go in a different direction for the moment. Now, I know why. I'm not going to tell him that. It's the thing. You've been my barber. Yeah, I've been your barber for 3, 4, 5 years. Some people have been their barber for 10, 15 years at this point. If you're having a financial issue, tell me first. I don't care how much I'm charging. You've been with me since I was charging $30, $40, and now you paying me $70, $80, $90, $100. Tell me, hey, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford it. Give me a chance to say, what can you afford, bro? That's where loyalty comes in to me as a client. I don't care if you tip me or not. If you've been loyal to me for that long, give me a chance to give you a discount.
That's cool.
Because you've been with me for that long. I not only want to lose the client, this ain't even about the money. I've done that in Michigan. We go through stuff with the auto industry a lot. They lay off. I had a customer, he came to me for 2.5 months, ain't paid nothing. I said, don't lose your spot. Come to me. Come on, get your hair cut. Keep your appointment, because I got a lot of people on standing appointments. And I said, look, when you able to, get me right. And he did. Wow. Plus some. Wow. But give me the chance. Give your barber a chance to help you.
Yeah.
See if they can. Because that might be the thing that brightens you up. At least you ain't got to pay as much for that. Yeah, you try, man, all I could really pay is 30, 40. Give me a chance to say, no problem.
Right.
It's all good.
That's good, bro. That's good. That's a lot of barbers that do that, man. They find themselves staying booked, staying busy. It's always good to be a blessing to, a client. I totally understand, totally get it. That's how you come up. That's how you come up for sure. So before I let you go, man, what is something that we didn't get a chance to talk about that you want to share to young barbers, aspiring barbers, because you've been an instructor, you got the whole shop thing, you got the main unit play. Like, it's a lot to you that we kind of already talked about. But what is something that we didn't talk about that you want to share to the guests?
To the young barber, I keep it simple. Enhancements, right? Always gonna be a big conversation, right? But for people like the one thing that I would say that I'm grateful for on my journey that I want the young barbers to also adopt to themselves, learn how to do real color operations, and then get your enhancement game right. Enhancements have come a long way since I was here. We had the black spray, Catronis spray, we had that. You had a select few barbers that was using Beijing back then and not really even using it right. You know what I'm saying? But we was using it back then. That was about all you had. The fibers were for women. We didn't know what was going on until somebody tweaked it or whatever. Yep. Now we got a point where you got permanent color that you can put in the airbrush. That's right. I forgot the name of the company, but I was like, yo, I wouldn't have believed it if it wasn't for the barber across the hall from me was using it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is developer in color. This is permanent color. I saw. Oh, they work with a real deal chemist to formulate this, that you can put it in your airbrush, and that's how they doing it don't come off. Because I'm like, that's permanent color, y'all. And it is. It is, yeah. But it is in fact coming out. Like, that's what I mean when I say the evolution of barbering, not the change, the evolution. That's evolutionary and revolutionary for the industry. But don't come in the game and learn how to use that and don't know that that's permanent color. Learn the color game, even if all you're using is black, because it's gonna allow you to tweak some things and be able to, if you don't have that, you have something else that you can stand on in the industry. As with all things, learn the old school way and know the new school way, and then make a hybrid and make your own thing. That's super dope. That's what I leave them with.
That's super dope. How can they follow you, bro?
Y'all can follow me on Instagram at @MrICreate_confidence. You can also hit me on Facebook. My Facebook business page is Suge the Barber. And those are the two places where I reside for the most part. I got a TikTok, but I don't be on there for real. Like, hell, I'm 42. I can't do but 2 social media platforms at a time.
Absolutely. Well, man, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I truly enjoyed it. You dropped a lot of gems.
Most definitely.
I appreciate it. It's always good to chop it up with someone that you know away from the camera.
Most definitely.
Like I'm constantly, interviewing guys that I'm just getting to know for the first time on set. But I know you. I know your story, bro. I'm proud of what you're doing. It's just great to see what you're doing, man.
Man, with that being said, I've said this to you before, but don't cut this part out, editor. Man, I gotta say thank you. Yeah. Like when I was in barber school here, y'all, I would go to on Saturdays after school. I would rush to drive all the way from Oak Cliff back to Denton just so I can sit and watch AP cut hair. All of the barbers at the shop, him, his brother, I forgot what the white dude name, but he was like he was a minimalist, like being able to see all of that early in the game, just sitting and watching. I don't see enough barbers doing that anymore, just going and sitting in the shop and watching those who they look up to. So for allowing me to be able to come in there and watch and learn some things and giving me some gems while you was cutting, man, that did a lot for me. That did a whole lot for me in those days where some of them days I was depressed, bro. I was broke in the mug when I was out here. Yeah. So being able to come and sit in the shop and watch what I love in action and watch another level of it did a lot for me. Them couple days where you was like, man, go ahead and go to that station and get you some cuts in. I wasn't gonna have dinner that day if I didn't get to cut in the shop. For real talk, man. I'm being totally real with that. So thank you, man. Wow. I know I ain't the only one that you helped, but
man, I didn't even
I'm gonna say
bro.
Thank you, my guy.
Man, it's my pleasure, man.
Yes,
I didn't
sir.
know, but man, it's always good to hear, that you were able to do your thing. I didn't know, bro, but this is what we do.
Yes, sir.
This is what we do. Listen, my guy, make sure you follow him, Mr. I Create Confidence on Instagram. Super dope. Walking gym. This has been another episode of More Than